welcome to another episode of Untold Legends, where we explore the stories found within the worlds of video games, movies, comic books, and anything in between. Last time in the Mortal Kombat timeline series, I detailed the story of the most despicable combatant in the Mortal Kombat universe, the self-serving criminal for hire Kano. From his development, his constant back and forth with the Special Forces, constantly shifting allegiances, all the way through his ultimate final confrontation against Sonja Blade. Today's video was originally going to be about Motaro, but let's go ahead and expand it to cover all three of the original classic sub-bosses, Goro, Kintaro, and Motaro. Creatures meant to break the spirits of children at the arcade, cheap, powerful monsters that were designed to suck away as many of your parents' quarters as possible, before even reaching the final boss. The 1993 Video Games Magazine review of Mortal Kombat 2 said it best when describing the battle against Kintaro. He doesn't just beat you, he kicks your ass. Of course, there were ways to cheese, but we didn't know that as children. There was no internet, there were no YouTube guides, it was just you in a pocket quickly losing its supply of quarters. But before jumping into these characters, I'd like to introduce my Patreon page. If you'd like to help support this channel and allow me to continue creating content like this for all the realms, you can join my Patreon for as little as $1 a month by clicking on the link in the description below or heading on over to patreon.com/GamerThumbTV. And I'd also like to thank my current patrons and channel members for their continued support. The very first sub-boss in Mortal Kombat history was Goro, a half-dragon, half-human prince with 4 arms, destined to be defeated by the young Shaolin monk and grand champion of Mortal Kombat, Liu Kang.
I nearly bested you.
With the aid of Shang Tsung's magic.
That is a lie. Goro wins.
Originally, Goro was going to be very different from the 4-armed sub-boss that we've all come to know and love. During production of the original Mortal Kombat, co-creators John Tobias and Ed Boon wanted to create a big, imposing character, and Goro's first form was a combatant named Rokuro, a humanoid character with only 2 arms, a member of a race of demon warriors. They were seen as savage barbarians, and Rokuro joined the tournament to restore the pride and respect of his race, an origin story that was later reshaped to fit the character of Baraka. As the character took form, his name became Goro, and it was shortened to Goro. His appearance was inspired by the stop-motion animation creatures of classic films such as Clash of the Titans, Jason and the Argonauts, and the Sinbad movies. Not that Sinbad. This one. The model for Goro was created as a clay sculpture by Richard DeVizio's friend Kurt Chiarelli, and Goro in his final form was born. Since his first appearance, Goro became iconic among the fan base, thanks in part to his appearance as a major character in the live-action Mortal Kombat movie, and he looked fantastic. Instead of the awful CG that plagued the sequel, which has not aged well at all, Goro was animatronic, and he was awesome. He was so well done that an article in 1994 by Business Week described him as the most advanced mechanical creature Hollywood has ever made. Debatable, since we already had the giant dinosaurs of Jurassic Park, but still, that's some high praise. He went on to participate in many memorable moments too. He killed the much beloved Artleen, a character that should have had his first video game appearance already. Let's make Artleen canon. Still waiting on that one, NetherRealm. And he also broke Johnny Cage's sunglasses, becoming the victim of his famous nut punch.
Those were $500 sunglasses, asshole.
Goro also appeared in multiple non-canon comic books by Malibu Comics, and even had his own called Goro Prince of Pain, where he travels to Earth. But we still haven't answered the question, why does Goro have 4 arms? Why does he look the way he does? In his original backstory before the Mortal Kombat Universe's storyline really took shape, he was described as half human, half dragon. But he didn't actually have one human parent and one dragon parent, as that description implies. Goro is a member of the Shokan race from Outworld, a species said to have been descended from dragons and native Outworlders, a warrior race that makes their home in the subterranean kingdom of Kuatan. Their civilization is made up of multiple genetic lineages, and they're ruled by a king and queen that represent their concerns to the ruler of Outworld. Among their kind, survival of the fittest is the rule they live by. When a king has multiple children, they eventually fight to the death, leaving only one single heir to the throne. At some point in their past, a Shokan from the Draco lineage, called Gorbak, became king and had 2 sons, Goro and Durak, and the 2 brothers traveled together in search of a rare jewel to honor their father with. In order to prove his ruthlessness, Goro murdered his brother.
Durak took the jeweled Nika egg from his younger brother and helped him up from the cliff. The battle was over. Durak was the victor. But Goro was not finished. It was now Durak's turn to plead for help. But Goro told Durak to grab the egg and hand it to him, or it would be lost forever, and neither one of them would be able to pay tribute to their father. Young Goro looked down at his brother dangling above the bottomless well of darkness. Goro presented his father with a magnificent gift, and the king was very pleased and proud.
From that day forward, Goro became the official prince and next heir of King Gorbak. As prince, he also served as a high-ranking member of Shao Kahn's army. Assisting him in his conquest of multiple realms, Goro was critical to his success, allowing Shao Kahn to subjugate the people of those realms and merge them with Outworld. When Shao Kahn set his sights on Earthrealm, he was only 1 victory away in the Mortal Kombat tournaments from being able to merge it with Outworld. But a young Shaolin monk known as the Great Kung Lao defeated his champion Shang Tsung, saving Earthrealm. During the next tournament, however, Goro was put forward as the champion of Outworld and challenged the Great Kung Lao in Mortal Kombat. Goro won and took Kung Lao's life, becoming the new Grand Champion. For 500 years, Goro continued to win the tournaments, and once again Outworld was 1 victory away from being able to merge Earthrealm. This time, a distant descendant of Kung Lao, a young Shaolin monk Liu Kang, became Earthrealm's defender, and Goro would face the shame of defeat.
Liu Kang wins.
Liu Kang went on to battle Shang Tsung and win, and upon the sorcerer's defeat, the island the tournament took place in began collapsing while an enraged Goro attacked Earthrealm's warriors. Thanks to Raiden, they successfully escaped, and Goro disappeared. For years he remained in the shadows, unable to cope with the loss against Liu Kang, and most believed he was dead. Shao Kahn twice more attempted to destroy Earthrealm, and the warlord was sent back into Outworld defeated and weakened severely. Goro did have a non-canon appearance as a playable character in Mortal Kombat Trilogy, but in the canon version of events, after Shao Kahn's ultimate defeat, the leadership in Outworld was in complete chaos, with various powers fighting for control, while Shao Kahn slowly recovered from his injuries. The realm of Edenia was freed, and Queen Sindel and her daughter Kitana attempted to bring some form of peace. Without Shao Kahn to rule over Outworld with an iron fist, the Shokan and the Centaurians, a centaur-like species they had an ongoing rivalry with, were at war with each other. The Centaurians demanded Shokan land that Shao Kahn had previously promised them, and Goro watched from above as his people argued back and forth with them. Kitana tried her best to calm both sides down and broker a peace deal, but Prince Goro had had enough. He jumped from the rafters, and the Centaurians were shocked to see him alive. Goro attacked and demanded that the war be over. His father was likely killed during the war, and he announced that he would be taking his place as the king of the Shokan. With Goro speaking for his people, the Centaurians agreed to end the conflict, and at that moment, Shinnok, the elder god of death, attacked. He had plotted for eons to return from the Netherrealm and take his revenge, and use the realm of Edenia as his entry point, leading to the events of Mortal Kombat 4 and Gold. During the conflict, the Earthrealm combatants traveled into Edenia to face Shinnok directly, and Goro didn't choose specific sides. Instead, he saw this as an opportunity to take his revenge on Liu Kang and regain his honor, and he challenged the Shaolin monk to Mortal Kombat again. Goro was defeated once more, and this time he accepted his loss. Ultimately, Liu Kang defeated Shinnok and sent him back into the Netherrealm, and Goro faced another combatant tied to his past. Liu Kang's best friend and distant relative, Kung Lao, was a direct descendant of the great Kung Lao. He tracked down Goro and decided to dispense a Shaolin form of vengeance for the death of his ancestor, resulting in an epic handshake.
War has been waged in this realm for too long. We must bring it to an end. I will set aside my differences with the Centaurs, as long as they abide by the treaty. I shall sign your agreement.
Goro, this is a great victory for all of us. Kung Lao, we are at a moment of peace. How could you attack now?
I once thought that an allegiance with an enemy was a lost cause, Princess Kitana.
Was that your attempt at an assassination, Earthman?
No, that was a ceremonial strike of revenge for my ancestor that you killed in Mortal Kombat so many years ago.
And do you wish to continue this battle?
No, I wish only to settle the differences between us.
Your ancestor was a great man, and a brave and noble warrior. You should be proud of his accomplishments. If he won, perhaps it would be my own son, seeking to settle differences with him.
After Shinnok's defeat, Goro and the Shokan allied fully with the Edenians and signed a peace treaty with the Centaurians. But during the events of Mortal Kombat Deception, Onaga the Dragon King, the previous emperor of Outworld, returned, resurrected inside the body of Reptile, and also on a quest to ravage the realms. During that time, Kitana's combined army of Shokan and Edenian forces were battling Shao Kahn's remaining army under the command of Kano. After many battles, Goro was exhausted and caught off guard by a secret attack from Noob Saibot, a warrior crafting plans of his own. He injured Goro in the surprise attack, leaving him mortally wounded and dying on the battlefield. When Goro opened his eyes, he saw Shao Kahn standing before him. The weakened emperor used his remaining dark powers to heal Goro and asked him to rejoin him and lead his armies. Out of gratitude for his previous emperor, Goro agreed and placed his royal seal on the body of another fallen Shokan in order to fake his death. Together, Shao Kahn and Goro went into hiding to regain their strength in preparation to retake Outworld. In the meantime, Kitana found the body Goro disguised as his own and held a customary Shokan ceremony for her fallen ally, unaware that he secretly reformed an alliance with Shao Kahn.
Saddened by the death of Goro, she attended a ceremony in the Kuotan Palace to honor her fallen friend and ally. Following Shokan tradition, Prince Goro's body was lowered into the molten rock contained within the throne room itself. As Kitana said goodbye to her wartime ally.
In his non-canon Mortal Kombat Deception ending, Goro faced Onaga the Dragon King and destroyed him, then took Kitana as an offering to his emperor.
Goro had regained control of his Shokan army and fought to cleanse Outworld of the Dragon King's Tarkatan horde. Though the Tarkata are formidable adversaries, they were no match for an army of Shokan, inspired as they were by regaining Shao Kahn's favor. Baraka's troops were quickly defeated. Goro had proven himself a powerful ally of the Emperor, but Shao Kahn had given the Shokan much in his return to power. Goro felt a gift of loyalty was in order. The Edenian military had been crushed and Kitana herself had been captured. Goro brought her before Shao Kahn and sacrificed her as an offering of fealty to the once and future Emperor of Outworld.
In the canon version of events, Onaga was defeated by the warrior Shujinko, and Goro wasn't involved in the main conflict. In return for Goro's service, Shao Kahn promised to cast out the Centaurians from his army and rely on the Shokan exclusively. Prior to the events of Mortal Kombat Armageddon, Goro led Kahn's armies to victory, and helped him reclaim his stronghold from Mileena, who temporarily declared herself Empress. With his help, Shao Kahn was restored as Emperor, and he began plotting to gain ultimate power. All of reality was coming undone from millennia of constant combat. The only way to save all of reality was to defeat the elemental creature Blaze and use its reality-altering powers. The half-god Taven awoke and began a quest to defeat Blaze. His travels took him to Shao Kahn's fortress, where he was confronted by Goro.
Enjoying the view.
Who are you? What are you doing here?
At ease, Shokan. I am looking for Quan Chi. Have you seen him?
He is with the Emperor. I am Goro. I have been ordered to let no one pass under penalty of death.
My death? Or yours?
Taven wins.
Taven defeated Goro, but he escaped and joined Shao Kahn's forces of darkness. In order to claim the power of Blaze, Goro participated in the massive battle, including all of the combatants, and in his non-canon Armageddon ending, he defeated Blaze, then used his newfound power to claim Outworld for the Shokan.
Having defeated Blaze, Goro had attained the power of a god. But to the forces of darkness, this power was not meant for a mere Shokan to wield. Shang Tsung, Quan Chi, Shao Kahn, and Onaga all had anticipated victory, only to have it stolen from them. The four surrounded Goro in a vain attempt to wrest the power from him. Goro laughed, raised his arms, and let forth an ancient Shokan battle cry. From out of nowhere, an army of Shokan warriors stormed the pyramid and slaughtered the four attackers. The Shokan race will rule Outworld forever.
In the canon version of events, he died on the battlefield, and Shao Kahn's plan to gain ultimate power succeeded. Before he could use it to destroy reality, Raiden sent a message to the past and created an alternate timeline to prevent Kahn's victory. In the altered timeline, Goro's history remained the same, and he still battled Liu Kang on Shang Tsung's island in the original Mortal Kombat tournament.
Liu Kang, it has been years since an Earthrealm warrior has progressed this far. But the reigning champion is far beyond your ability. To the lair with you!
I did not expect to fight in this tournament, but eventually, even the Shaolin produce a warrior worthy of the Shokan.
I know who you are. I am ready for you.
I will give you a warrior's death. Liu Kang wins.
Seems the Shaolin trained a warrior greater than Shokan.
History remained the same, and Shang Tsung found himself shocked that a mere human could take on the prince of the Shokan race and win. Liu Kang defeated Shang Tsung in Mortal Kombat and won the tournament. But instead of going into hiding, Goro continued to serve Shao Kahn's interest in this timeline. When a second tournament was proposed and Kitana discovered that Shao Kahn wasn't her actual father, she was imprisoned. Liu Kang and Kung Lao set out to find and rescue her, and Kung Lao, like in the original timeline, had the opportunity to face Goro.
Do you need help? 4 arms against 2 is hardly a fair fight.
Liu Kang?
You have had your match against Liu Kang. Now you will face me!
Wins.
Now if you have any honor left, you will tell us where Kitana is.
She has been taken to the Colosseum, where she has no doubt been executed.
You lie! She may yet live. Let us go.
With Goro's defeat, Kung Lao avenged his ancestor, but allowed Goro to live. Shao Kahn was defeated by Liu Kang, and Goro stood alongside his forces, planning their next move. But the Emperor had survived, and he launched an invasion against Earthrealm. If he couldn't win the Mortal Kombat tournaments, he would take the realm by force. Goro was part of the invasion, and helped Shao Kahn by gathering Earthrealm forces to be absorbed into his giant Soulnado. But Earthrealm's warriors had freed a cyberized Sub-Zero from Lin Kuei programming, and he challenged Goro.
Hey, what did... I will help you.
Let's go, come on!
Down here, let's go!
With Sub-Zero's victory, Goro wasn't seen again during the invasion, and Raiden was able to save Earthrealm by sending Shao Kahn to the Elder Gods to face punishment. After this timeline's defeat of Shao Kahn, Outworld fell into civil war, and one of his ex-generals, the Aztec Kotal, took the throne for himself and became the new Khan, wresting power away from Mileena, who claimed the throne as her birthright. Goro and the Shokan were treated as second-class citizens in Kotal's new empire, and Goro was sent to destroy Mileena and her co-conspirators. But he was convinced by Mileena to join her rebellion and turn against Kotal. He swore to kill the new emperor to restore the glory of the Shokan race, but Kotal Khan was well organized and had a powerful army. Only strategy would win the day. Another one of Shao Kahn's ex-warlords, Rico, was a brilliant planner and strategized for Kotal's defeat. The Aztec people gained much of their power from the sun, and they became much weaker in the darkness. Kotal's father, Kotal Ketz, tracked down Goro, and rain covered the desert in dark clouds, weakening the Aztec army. Kotal Ketz was surprised by Goro's betrayal and attacked him with a warhammer, but in his weakened state, he was nowhere near enough to stop Goro. Goro might have been injured, but in his current condition, he outclassed Kotal Ketz in every way, and beat him to within an inch of his life. Goro then finished him off with his own warhammer and claimed victory. When Kotal Khan found out about his father's death, he was enraged, and used a Kamidogu dagger, infused with blood magic to power himself up, a dangerous relic that was corrupted by Havoc of the Chaos Realm in an attempt to find Shinnok's amulet. Kotal Khan swore that Goro would pay and charged to his location. In his non-canon Mortal Kombat X ending, Goro confronted Kotal Khan, and the Shokan seized control of Outworld.
The Shokan had become outcasts for refusing to aid either side in the Outworld civil war. But with the conflict over, Prince Goro decided to re-enter the political landscape. Kotal Khan's armies were weak from years of battle. Mileena's rebels were scattered. It was an easy matter for the Shokan to seize control. The newly crowned Emperor Goro had his rivals exterminated. No Aztec, Kaitin, Edenian, or Tarkatan would usurp his throne.
In the canon version of events, Goro fully expected Kotal to attack him and tried the same tactic again with Rain, but Kotal was ready and brought down a fiery blast on Rain, leaving him in a scorched crater on the ground. This time, Kotal, powered by blood magic and the power of the sun, had the advantage, but Prince Goro showed no fear and accepted Kotal's challenge. The battle was fierce and both warriors took heavy blows, but ultimately Kotal would be the victor. Goro grabbed him with his immense strength and Kotal pulled away until 2 of Goro's arms were ripped off. With blade in hand, he sliced the remaining 2 arms off as well, leaving Goro an armless Shokan on the ground, begging him to end his life. Goro couldn't bear the shame of defeat, and in an ultimate show of disrespect against Goro, Kotal allowed him to leave. Goro returned to his father, King Gorbak, and bowed before him, honorless and armless. The king comforted his son and assured him that he would take care of Kotal Khan himself. He would not disrespect the royal family and remain alive. Goro's father led another attack against Kotal and confronted him for what he did to his son, but was soon defeated. This time Kotal wouldn't allow the Shokan to live and killed Gorbak by crushing his head. After his father's death, Goro searched for a way to regrow his arms and heard legends of Onaga the Dragon King. If this Dragon King was so powerful, he could surely help Goro regain his power. Goro's information led him to the Red Dragon Clan, a criminal organization led by Taven's brother, the half-god Dagon, and they had some sort of strong connection to Onaga that's never been fully explained. The Red Dragons taunted Goro over his current condition, but the Shokan Prince was still dangerous and crushed the soldiers in front of him. Goro expressed his interest in learning more about Onaga, and Dagon recited the legend that if you cut Onaga's hand, another would grow in its place. But Dagon was a man that demanded something in return, and Goro delivered. The Earthrealm warrior Kenshi, long sought after for betraying the Red Dragon, and Dagon agreed to help Goro. This was the last appearance of Goro in the altered timeline, and he wasn't involved in the events of Mortal Kombat 11. But during a character interaction between Shiva and Baraka, it's revealed that in the altered timeline, Onaga was reborn in Goro's body, and he almost destroyed Outworld.
Did Goro become Onaga's vessel?
Yes, and he nearly scorched Outworld.
Has Onaga's power tempted you?
And that is the current story of the Shokan Prince Goro. The second sub-boss introduced in the Mortal Kombat universe was yet another Shokan warrior, the four-armed Kintaro. The menace from Mortal Kombat 2 standing before you just before the battle with Shao Kahn. Originally, he was set to be a playable character, a two-armed Tiger Man, but with the game development limitations of the time, his detailed fur-lined costume led to Midway revamping him completely into another four-armed sub-boss like Goro, but he did keep a hint of his original tiger-like design. The character was also a stop-motion figure, his name Kintaro inspired by a folklore hero from Japanese legend of the same name, although related to the legendary figure by name only. Story-wise, Kintaro is still a Shokan like Goro, but instead of being from Goro's Draco lineage, Kintaro's heritage was from the Tiger line, a rare ancient bloodline of Shokan with feline-like features known for their brutality. After Liu Kang defeated Goro in the original Mortal Kombat, Kintaro vowed to avenge him and destroy Liu Kang, and King Gorbak put forward Kintaro as the new champion for Shao Kahn. Shang Tsung proposed the second tournament, and in an effort to lure Earthrealm's warriors to Outworld, Kintaro joined the group led by Shang Tsung in an attack against Johnny Cage's movie set. Major Jackson Briggs of the Special Forces was searching for the missing Sonya Blade and attacked Kintaro himself, and Kintaro was surprised by Jax's strength, and the two battled through broken walls in a flurry of fists, until reinforcements appeared. Kung Lao sliced Kintaro in the chest with his hat, and the battle ended, as Raiden appeared. Shang Tsung proposed his terms for the second tournament, and Raiden agreed, leading to the events of Mortal Kombat 2. Liu Kang made his way through the tournament, and Kintaro was the final obstacle standing before Shao Kahn. Just like Goro, Kintaro fell to Liu Kang's might. After Shao Kahn's defeat, Kintaro also participated in his invasion of Earthrealm during Ultimate Mortal Kombat Trilogy. The Shokan warrior took his place as supreme ruler of Shao Kahn's armies since Prince Goro was believed to be dead. Although Kintaro led his troops fiercely into battle, Shao Kahn was still defeated by Liu Kang. Although he wasn't playable, Kintaro, during the events of Mortal Kombat Deception, fought alongside his fellow Shokan warriors after Goro reappeared, and continued to fight alongside Goro during Mortal Kombat Armageddon on the side of Shinnok's forces of darkness. He was the first warrior to announce the start of the battle with a fierce Shokan war cry.
It was foreseen that combatants would one day grow too powerful and too numerous.
In his non-canon Armageddon ending, Kintaro destroyed Blaze and claimed his power, and used it to create 4 magical swords.
Upon defeating Blaze, a thunderous voice offered Kintaro 4 magic swords. Each would be infused with the power of any warrior of his choosing. Kintaro resolved to give the weapons the powers of fire, ice, chaos, and order. As if wielded by invisible hands, each blade found its victim and slew him. The vanquished souls were transferred to the weapons, and there they will reside. With the powers of Scorpion, Sub-Zero, Javier, and Motaro at his command, none will challenge Kintaro and live.
In the canon version of events, Kintaro died like the rest of the combatants, and reappeared in the altered timeline in the same fashion as the original. But instead of facing Liu Kang in the second tournament, history was altered by Raiden, so Kung Lao would face him instead.
I will eat your heart. Kung Lao wins.
Immediately after Kintaro's defeat, Kung Lao began celebrating his victory, overconfident over his own skills, and Shao Kahn took the chance to murder him, sending Liu Kang into the rage that would ultimately cause his defeat. During the Earthrealm invasion, once Khan recovered, Kintaro joined the attack on human cities and encountered 2 SWAT officers, Curtis Stryker and Cabal, an ex-member of the Black Dragon clan, and Kintaro would be the one responsible for his burn injuries.
Spread out. Give him multiple targets.
Humans, less ugly when they burn.
Busted!
Stryker wins.
Stryker defeated Kintaro, and the last time he was seen during the invasion, he stood alongside Goro when Cyber Sub-Zero found them.
Your treachery will be punished.
Sub-Zero wins. All those teeth and claws, yet still overmatched.
Much like Goro, Kintaro returned to Outworld after Shao Kahn was beaten, and participated in the civil war against Kotal Khan. After Goro was humiliated and his arms were taken, Kintaro was placed in command of the Shokan armies under the orders of King Gorbak. He was prepared to avenge Goro's defeat alongside an army of Oni warriors. Kotal's ally Devora met with Kintaro and attempted to negotiate a peace treaty to end the conflict. But the Shokan were a proud warrior race, surrender was not an option, and Kintaro denied the offer. To avoid further bloodshed, Kotal offered to settle the conflict in Mortal Kombat, facing off against Kintaro in a single match. But Kintaro refused, and sent his army marching forward, but Kotal made a deal with the Black Dragon Kano. Kano commanded his ally Tremor to destroy the ground under Kintaro's forces, and Kano detonated a nuclear weapon that decimated Kintaro's army. The battle was over, and like Goro, Kintaro demanded that Kotal Khan kill him. Kotal spared his life and convinced Kintaro that Rico and Melina were their common enemy, pitting their forces against each other. From there, Kintaro agreed, and Rico and Melina became the new targets of the Shokan army. During the events of the Mortal Kombat X comic, Kintaro led his warriors alongside the Shokan Shiva to Shang Tsung's island, where Rico and Melina were located. But the cleric of the Chaos Realm Havoc had concocted a plot to use the Kamidogu daggers to retrieve Shinnok's amulet, and controlled his own batch of brainwashed combatants. From afar, they witnessed the battle against Havoc and waited for their moment to strike. Eventually, Havoc was able to retrieve Shinnok's amulet, and Kintaro saw the energy surge from afar. He sent a small group of Shokans to investigate what was happening. They returned in pieces, Shokan warriors whose death would weigh on Kintaro. Havoc saw their ship arriving from the beach and used Shinnok's amulet to blow a hole on its side, sending Shiva and Kintaro into the water. Kintaro panicked since he couldn't swim, and Shiva was forced to help him get to the shoreline before he could drown. Upon landing on the island, Kintaro and Shiva were greeted by Devora, and she revealed that Kotal had been captured by Havoc. Since they had an uneasy alliance with Kotal, the Shokan traveled further in to rescue him, but instead found warriors corrupted and overpowered by Havoc's magic. Kintaro fought valiantly, but they were too many, and the possessed Sonja blade ripped his head from his body, tragically ending the story of Kintaro in the altered timeline. The final classic sub-boss is Motaro. First appearing in Mortal Kombat 3, he was one of the most unusual looking characters in the entire series and one of a kind. His unique design caused multiple challenges as the series progressed, resulting in him having the shortest history of the 3 sub-bosses and missing several opportunities to appear. Essentially, Motaro fell victim to, we have no idea how to put you in a traditional fighting game. Just like Kintaro, Motaro's name also has a connection to Japanese myths resembling Momotaro, another Japanese folklore hero. Also like Kintaro, only his name was inspired by the character and nothing more. His appearance is similar to the centaurs of Greek mythology, but according to John Tobias, Motaro was originally inspired by Baron Karza, the villain of the classic Micronauts toy line, a dread knight covered in black armor that could combine with his steed Andromeda to become a centaur-like character with a futuristic appearance. From this inspiration, Motaro was born, sharing traits of classic centaurs and a metallic tail that can shoot energy balls. His 4-legged design caused issues later in Mortal Kombat Armageddon. They had to decide to leave him out of the game completely or redesign him to accommodate the gameplay style of the rest of the game. In the end, the decision was made to keep him, but the cost was having to remove his hind legs, creating a bizarre new version of the character, quite different than what fans were used to. In his original appearance, he was seen by many as notoriously difficult, able to bounce off energy attacks like nothing, and caused massive damage to the player. Motaro also made it in the live-action sequel to the movie, Mortal Kombat Annihilation, and unlike almost everything else that looks terrible in the new movie, he actually looked pretty good. He was played by Darren McBee, former star of American Gladiators, and the warrior in the VHS board game Dragon Strike. And Motaro was actually fairly entertaining in the movie too. Motaro and Shiva had a rivalry, something taken right from the games, and they absolutely hated each other.
My squads have already claimed thousands of innocent souls on Earth. And I would have claimed millions.
By now, you'd be behind bars on display in a zoo.
If those bars could keep me away from you, Shiva, I would welcome them.
And Motaro had one of the funniest losses in the movie. He absolutely wrecks Jax when Jax has his cybernetic arms that make him much stronger. But as soon as Jax removes them, suddenly Jax can take him on because he decided to believe in himself. It makes no sense.
It's over.
Motaro and his Centaurians also appeared in the animated Defenders of the Realm series in 2 episodes, and just like the games, they were always at odds with the Shokan, and I wish the video game version was as easily defeated as he is in this series. All it takes is for Liu Kang to wrestle him to the ground quickly, then they destroy themselves like idiots. Story-wise, as mentioned previously in this video, Motaro belongs to the Centaurian race, another warrior race that were proud hunters, and hated the Shokan. After the failure of both Goro and Kintaro, Shao Kahn relied on the Shokan less and more on the Centaurians, something that greatly angered Shiva. She began distrusting Kahn and began making plans of her own to end his reign. During the Earthrealm invasion, Motaro was appointed to lead the Centaurian forces to hunt down and destroy humanity, and they were brutally effective. During the battle against Raiden's chosen warriors, Johnny Cage came to confront Motaro, and he was killed in combat. Motaro also discovered a dying Kano, thought to be killed by Sonya Blade after he was thrown from a skyscraper. To punish him for his failure, Motaro healed Kano and imprisoned him to be punished. Shiva saw the opportunity to make a deal with Kano against Shao Kahn, and she attacked Motaro, almost killing him.
Shiva wins.
After Liu Kang defeated Shao Kahn, Motaro wasn't seen again until the events of Mortal Kombat Armageddon. Prior to the quest to absorb the powers of Blaze, the war between the Centaurians and the Shokan resulted in the Shokan discovering and placing a curse on his entire race. The curse transformed the Centaurians into Minotaurs, and they lost their hind legs, a source of pride for their people. The hatred against the Shokan race grew, and Motaro decided to join Shinnok's Army of Darkness in order to use Blaze's power to gain vengeance for his people. In his non-canon Armageddon ending, Motaro destroys Blaze and uses his powers to restore the Centaurians to their original form, although the ending still shows him only having 2 legs.
Flames lashed at Motaro's body as Blaze released his energy. The searing pain consumed Motaro as he staggered about the top of the pyramid. When at last the fire dissipated, Motaro felt the familiar sensation of walking on 4 legs. He had undone the curse that had transformed his centaur race into minotaurs. With renewed purpose, Motaro vowed that the Shokan would pay dearly for their treachery.
In the altered timeline after Raiden changed history, Motaro's role was the same, although his life was cut short extremely quickly. He was seen alongside the rest of Shao Kahn's forces before the invasion of Earthrealm was planned, and he participated in the attack on the city where Stryker was. Raiden saw visions of the past and knew Motaro would kill Johnny Cage at this time, and he acted quickly to save him. And Shao Kahn was enraged by losing one of his most valuable generals.
You alright? Johnny Cage fighting a giant monster? What is this, Time Smashers?
That guy just shot lightning from his hands.
What is this?
Raiden has killed Motaro. I will go to Earthrealm to finish Motaro's work.
Yes.
And that is the end of Motaro's history in the Mortal Kombat universe. After his death, Shao Kahn decided to replace him by destroying Shang Tsung and transferring his soul energy into Sindel, creating a new powerful weapon. And after the events of Mortal Kombat 11, a new timeline was crafted, after the entire universe was restarted. So it may be possible that Motaro gets another chance to prove his worth in the series. And just maybe, some of the classic sub-bosses will have their opportunity to avenge their losses.
Goro.
You cannot hide from your doom.
Goro wins. Fatality.
Since you made it to the end of this video, I assume you enjoyed it, so why don't you go ahead and smash that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss any new content. You can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, links in the description below, and if you'd like to support the channel, you can join my Patreon or become a channel member. This is Fabian, I love you guys, and I'll see you next time.